Bases drop. Tuesday thoughts here on SDH AM. John, here, you there. Busy show today, and bunch of different directions we're going. And see, Kaylor Hodges is going to join us at 10 o'clock. We're going to go over what's going on in USL Championship, USL League One. Now that the season started, and they're still trying to figure out a collective bargaining agreement. Then 9:30, bottom of the hour, Noah Toumert, the executive director and the foundation director at Cleveland Pro Soccer, is going to discuss everything for City Cleveland. And we'll go over Open Cup, which is happening tonight, Champions League, which is happening this afternoon, all the AM news that's going on. We'll have all that coming up in a sec. Bottom of the hour-ish. I actually tell you what, I'm going to do opening kickoff right now. So opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Bitch Coffee and blackbitchcoffee.com. And once again, if you're looking for a great day to start, a great way to start your day, if I could get my upper plate to work, then you would invest in Black Bitch Coffee. It's, we give you everything to start your day when it comes to soccer. They give you everything to start your day when it comes to giving you that little extra pep in your step. It is beans from Brazil and Guatemala, great finish, and very, 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 very chocolatey kind of taste. And so I will take your word for it because I'm not a coffee person. But if coffee is the way to start your day, go to Black Bitch Coffee and blackbitchcoffee.com. Okay, so opening kickoff really quickly. Karn Saxena coming up around the corner. Now, today is the 17th of March, and I'm not wearing green right now. But the boss gave me this, and this is how legitimately I will be carrying this with me today. I'm carrying this with me today. Dibs on the redhead. Now, just usually when I look at my wife, that's how this goes. Dibs on the redhead. And so this is going with me today since it is St. Patrick's Day. So that's carrying it with me. And does carrying it with you count for having it with you so you don't get pinched? Just checking, just asking. Once again, how are you celebrating? Are you going to the Marley? What are you doing? That's the St. Patrick's Day question. That is opening kickoff, brought to you by Black Bitch Coffee and blackbitchcoffee.com. Okay. We are about 90 days away from the entire planet coming to this particular section of the planet, and it's an opportunity for us to share us and our soccer persons with the rest of the world. And so it's an opportunity for all of us to kind of sit there and look at everybody else and have a shared experience. So how do we have a shared experience? Well, there's one guy, and I have to figure out what part of the planet he's on, by the way. I have to figure out where Karn Saxena actually is, because he was flying around half a world away when we were trying to secure this particular interview. And I have to figure out if he is still, as a matter of fact, half a world away. So, I ask, are you still half a world away, Karn?
I still am. I think we're 12 hours apart, perhaps 11.
Yeah, I think it's and that's weird because now tell everybody where you are, as a matter of fact.
I'm in India. I'm in the city called Gurgaon. It's next to New Delhi.
Okay. Yeah. So I think there was a 0.5 in there somewhere in trying to explain, where you were in relation to everything else. And the reason that we've got you on is because other than you being a world traveler and enjoying the world's game as you do, you are the grand dude. You are the top of the pyramid. You are the top of the ladder when it comes to this thing called FanPath. And you knocked on our door and you wanted to kind of let everybody know what's going on with FanPath, about how they can have their experience. They can condense all of their stuff so they're not paying like $98 gazillion going from point A to point B, 2 miles away, all this kind of stuff. Break it down for us. First off, how did you come up with the idea?
Sure. Firstly, thank you. Thank you so much, John, for having me on. Excited to be here. I reached out regarding FanPath. So let's first talk about the problems, right? Why what problems are faced and how that derived into FanPath, and then I'll talk about what FanPath really is. Mm-hmm. So I've been a founder for about 4 years now. I've traveled around the world because of it. I've been a sports fan all my life, right? And that's just not just football. By the way, is it okay if I call it football?
Mhm.
Because it feels a little stingy if I call it soccer.
Absolutely. Dude, you can call it whatever you want. We call it both, sometimes in the same sentence. It's all good.
Perfect. Yeah. So a massive fan of football. I grew up playing tennis, so big fan of that as well. I'm into combat sports, so big fan of UFC, even WWE sometimes.
There you go.
Right, Formula One as well. So, every time I was traveling around the world, I was trying to find events I could attend. These included football events like UCL nights, Champions League nights. Been to the previous World Cup in Qatar. Been to Formula One weekends. Been to WWE events, right? And just always faced so much troubles in getting there, in finding the right tickets that weren't scammy, right? In paying a decent price for the tickets on the resale market. So all of that sort of accumulated in me thinking about, well, is there really a solution to this thing? And there really is, right? So I'll get into that. But the reason why FanPath really started is because I was looking at a tweet in December when the group stages were finalized, and they said that if Argentina top the group and if Portugal top their group, then they can potentially meet in the quarterfinals, right? When I see that, I'm a big Messi fan, right? Massive Messi fan. I have a lot of his merch and some exclusive things as well. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Hey, I gotta find out where this match is potentially taking place, right?" So I tried out all the simulators online, and they all produced different results. It's like, this is crazy, this is insane, right? I just want to see where they can potentially play, so I can book the hotels right now, right, and then just think about where I'm going to be flying. So all the simulators online were incorrect. They were all different. I wouldn't say incorrect. So I said, you know what? Let me figure out what the official tournament format is, and let me just build this myself. Being a builder, being a founder, that's what I do, right? So that's what I did. As soon as I built it, I started questioning. I was like, okay, I have this sort of World Cup simulator. Where can we go from here? So my founder brain started tinkering. I was like, okay, let's map out how my experience was in Qatar, right? The previous World Cup. So I spent about $12,000 US in Qatar over 2 weeks. I saw the World Cup final. I saw the quarterfinals. I saw Argentina win. I was staying in the cheapest possible area in Qatar with all the other fans. And I realized that, Doha is a small city, right? Everything was still congested. So people, if they wanted to transact on tickets physically, they would go to a particular place in Doha and transact over there, right? And then everything else, all other coordination happened in that one spot as well. However, when you map that out onto the next World Cup or the upcoming World Cup in North America, all of a sudden you're talking about 3 countries, you're talking about 16 host cities, you're talking about 2,000 plus miles, right? On top of that, this is the first World Cup that's going to have 48 teams and not 32. So each team has 10,000 plus possible bots that they can take in the tournament. So it's going to be crazy. Coordination is going to be insane. Plus, North America is at least twice more expensive than Qatar is, Doha is. So people are going to be spending more money, right? So I was like, surely there needs to be some sort of a tool, some sort of platform where you can help people coordinate and split on things like housing, right? So let's say Argentina fans can stay together in Airbnbs, right? And then on tickets, this is something that doesn't exist yet. But what we're doing is, since I come from a gaming background, real quick, I built one of South Asia's first AAA crossplay shooters, up to 500,000 users. A shooter game is much like Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, if you guys are aware of that.
Yeah.
So we have a multiplayer matchmaking algorithm that matchmakes people based on their skill level. So a similar algorithm is what we're putting in FanPath to matchmake people who are looking for certain tickets, right? And the idea is, so I'm someone who, just a side note, I'm someone who books my flights and my tickets and my events, everything last minute, right? So I usually pay resale prices on everything. So resale prices are very extortionate, right? So
yeah, that's the word to use.
They've got a 30% fee, 15% buyer, 15% seller. Then the resale value itself is marked up quite a bit. So I was like, okay, in Qatar, I saw Brazilian fans when they lost the semifinal. When they lost the quarterfinal, I saw them give tickets away for the semifinal for free to Morocco, which is crazy, right? Because those tickets were going for probably $700, $800. right? That was Morocco versus France. So it's like there needs to be some sort of a platform where people can transact on tickets peer to peer without needing to go to a reselling website that's going to charge them 30% plus on the resale value,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then we started integrating like a new ticketing resell, so a ticketing P2P marketplace inside FanPath. We also have events. So if someone from, let's say, Argentina wants to host their own event inside, let's say, Dallas, which is where the group stages are going to be, they can do that in FanPath. And then everyone, not just Argentina fans, but all of the fans can see that, okay, there's this event going on. They can check in, they can visit. If it's paid, it's paid, right? But we've built the algorithm for all of that. And then another cool feature for us is Intel. So when I was in Qatar, I wanted to see Argentina play, right? I wanted to see Argentina train rather. So I tried to find intel on where these guys are training, where the training grounds are. Again, everything was super fragmented, right? WhatsApp groups saying different things, Facebook groups are saying different things, Reddit threads are saying different things. There wasn't one verified official place where you got the intel that you want. So that's where we're partnering up with football federations to provide us official intel on where the training grounds are, if fans can visit, when they can visit, what times they can visit, right, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I've been through the entire stint. I've masqueraded as a journalist. I've snuck inside the training grounds in Qatar. So I kind of know how that works. But that's how I took, that's where I took the inspiration from. And that's what we've used to build FanPath, yeah.
And you can go to the website, which I've got right there, actually, right there. And you can go there and you can kind of look at, you've got simulators, you've got the analytics, you've got the idea. Now, what's the idea of joining the club? Because I'm trying to figure out, for those that are interested, joining the club. I know that you mentioned everybody coming together and having events in certain markets, but the idea of the club, break that down for me.
Sure. So each club has its own community, right? So Argentina is going to have its own, Brazil is going to have its own, the Netherlands is going to have its own community. We don't want to mix and match people together. And then each nation community is what we're calling them, right? So different nations have their own communities. Each of these nation communities also have different languages in them. So a country like Argentina or Brazil or England, right? These guys have fans from different parts of the world, right? So people speak English, they speak Spanish, Portuguese, etc. You don't want to mix and match all that. So something like Argentina's nation community is going to have its own official intel. It's going to have its own housing. So Argentina fans are going to post their own housing, whether they're sharing, whether they're offering their house, whatever it may be, whether they're seeking houses. So people from the Argentina community can then travel with others, right? They can carpool with other Argentina fans. They can stay at other Argentina fans' Airbnbs or houses. That's the idea.
And, what if you have someone who is, say, not an Argentina fan at the moment, but they want to know more about it? So it's like, if I'm in one club, if I'm in one group, say just for the sake of comparison, I'm a Cabo Verde guy, and yeah, I want to hang out with I want to hang out with Argentinians, and I want to learn more about that. Is there available that kind of crossover where if I'm in one club, can I go and be part of another club just to kind of go hang out and learn? Is that a possibility?
Yeah. So we've got filters in housing. So you can select housing that's been posted by people of your nation community or by all of FanPath community. And then you can filter by the countries, right? So you can filter by Argentina, Brazil, Netherlands, England, Denmark, whatever.
What's the feedback been like so far?
Oh, we haven't officially launched yet.
Well, when are you launching, man? Let's go.
So the idea was to do a soft launch during the Finalissima in Qatar.
Oh, yeah. And then that was kind of problematic.
Yeah. That's canceled now.
So now, what are you doing? When are we launching now? Are you going to go hard launch now that the Finalissima is no longer? What are you doing?
Oh yeah, hard launch for sure. That's what I've done with all my products. We're going to go hard, and we're looking at mid-May.
Okay.
So about a month before the World Cup. Yeah.
Okay. So then, what kind of work do you need to do between now and mid-May to make sure that when you hard launch, everything is going to be as flawless as it can be, so fans can hang out, they can be a part of their clubs, they can condense everything, and they're not spending $9 billion going from one venue to figure out their connect the dots? What do you got to do between now and then?
Absolutely, that's a great question. Two things, right? So the first thing is development. Make sure that everything is pristine. The mobile app, the web app that you guys can see on the website. So all that is pristine. All the architecture is done. Everything works perfectly. So that's under works. And the second thing is going to be the federation partnerships, right? So we are talking to a few federations that I can't name right now.
Oh, come on.
So
Come on, man.
that's the alpha I can't give right now. But but the idea is amazing because these guys are going to give us official intel to our fans.
Okay.
And then, another thing in sports tech, so I've been speaking to a lot of sports tech VCs, is the fact that there really isn't enough fan engagement data around. So if you look at deep tech, and again, this is not a comparison, right? But if you look at deep tech, something like Meta, something like TikTok, something like Google, OpenAI, etc., they have exact data on how their user behaves wherever they are in the world, right? So that could be India, that could be North Virginia, that could be Ghana, right? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities, whatever. However, someone like Manchester United does not have any idea, right? Their data points are, okay, I have X people coming to the stadium, Y people buying merchandise, Z people buying Z1 food or Z2 food or Z3, whatever, fish and chips or whatever.
Right.
But they don't exactly know how much their online fans are worth from different parts of the world, right? Mm-hmm. So fan engagement and coordination, these are some data points that we're obviously anonymizing and collecting that could help with user experience. So this is another point that is valuable and especially in our conversations with these federations. We'll see where that goes, but of course we're going to make sure that everything is compliant with GDPR and data rules.
All right, so here's a question from one of the folks in the Twitch pitch, and I love this question because how I was talking about, like, if you're a fan of one national team and you want to hang out with other national team members. This is another data point that I didn't think of until Abby brought it up. Can someone sign up by stadium instead of team? Because if you live in one of the 16 home markets, you're just locked into that venue. Like in Dallas, you're locked into Jerry World. In Atlanta, it's Atlanta Stadium. So can you do it? Can you pin yourself in that way by market and not by anything else? Can you do it that way?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So guys, the current website shows analytics, right? So analytics is not a main mode. So what we've done is very recently, we've changed that from analytics to something that we're calling MyPath, right? So MyPath is essentially a conversational trip planner for you. So you tell it what your budget is, how willing you are to travel, what's your risk appetite, what's your comfort appetite, are you willing to be more uncomfortable, are you willing to be more comfortable, whatever it may be. And it's going to give you an entire itinerary based on your responses, right? So over here, since this is also an AI, you can tell MyPath, you can tell the AI that, okay, I'm situated over here. What are the different routes I can take, right? Or what are the different things I can do in my city, in the stadium? We don't have a particular feature for a stadium-only function. However, this is something that will work on MyPath, and that's coming out, I think, in 2 weeks.
Okay, so we got 2 weeks before that. What has it been like to work with these federations that you are sworn to secrecy not to name, and ask them about their intel and all of their stuff? What's it been like to integrate with these federations themselves?
Right. So, I mean, we're in nascent stages, right? So I wouldn't say I've got a feel of how it works. However, I have worked with agents before. So agents who work with, who do sponsorship deals for, let's say, Barcelona, Real Madrid, who work for even folks like, probably shouldn't name them, but some of the top footballers in the world, right, playing for Real Madrid, Barcelona, etc. So I've got a feel of how it works. But talking about federations itself or themselves, it gets tricky because the way Japan works is very different to how Saudi Arabia works. Right? So some folks care more about the relationship building and like the nitty-gritties and the nuances between how you go about your conversations and partnerships, and with the others is different. But yeah, at the same point, I can't comment too much because we're still in nascent stages, right? So
obviously we got the website down here, usefanpath.com. We've already had some of the folks in the Twitch pitch sign up to get all the information. They want to be a part of this thing. They're signing up. They're getting ready for that gap space between now and May when you do the hard launch. Quick question for you. Who is going to win at WrestleMania between CM Punk and Roman Reigns?
I love that you asked that. I hope it's CM Punk. I'm a big fan. I started watching WWE again because he came back.
See?
So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
I get that. Okay. What did you think about Brock Lesnar putting Obafemi over last night?
very respectable. Very
Okay.
respectable. Someone who's at the later stages of their career, putting over younger folks in a similar position. Yeah, respect that.
Yep. And Paul is always going to be right there on the Mount Rushmore of personalities inside the WWE. I had to ask that stuff because you and I shared spirits. I'm an AEW guy, but I understand WWE. I get it. I know where it's coming from.
Right.
I can't thank you enough for staying up late and hanging out with us and breaking down everything that involves FanPath. So literally, right there, use fanpath.com. That's where you go. You keep up to date on everything between now and the hard launch in May, and then the sprint to the World Cup. Can we say? Well, we said it. So if they're going to get me in trouble, fine, I'm in trouble. So every time between May to the World Cup chaos, and then you're going to sleep in like August, right? That's how this is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that we collect a ton of data
Uh,
on the World Cup, right? And then we take that, we go to Formula One, we
oh,
go to WWE, right?
ah,
We go to even Taylor Swift's Era Tour, right? And we say, hey, this is what we can do for you guys. And of course, if you care about fans, this is probably something you should look into anyway.
yep.
And hopefully, this becomes so. Fan Path, realistically, the vision is to become the fan passport for global sports travel,
Okay.
right? So that's beyond. So that's the Olympics, that's Formula One weekends, right? That's TKO groups, that's all of that.
Well, I can't thank you enough for this. Will you keep us up to date on everything, especially as you get closer to the hard launch, and so we can catch back up in May and find out how things are and what you're looking forward to with that sprint for the World Cup? Is that a promise?
That's a promise,
Good,
100%.
good deal. Karn, thanks for dropping by this morning and batting leadoff here on the morning show. We'll see you soon, especially with the launch happens with FanPath. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice one.
There we go, Karn Saxena. So use FanPath, and I saw that Dell has already signed up. That's very, very cool. Good work there. So I'm intrigued. I want to see how this works. And Abby, to your point, I'm glad that you brought that up, considering that they were going to soft launch during the Finalissima in Qatar. And so now they're just going to go from the soft launch to the hard launch in May. And it's going to be a sprint. Man, it's going to be a sprint, getting all of this intel together with all of the federations and all of the travel plans and how they're going to do it and comparing and contrasting and throwing all of this into one big hopper to try and make the experience far more manageable from a financial standpoint and a logistics standpoint in getting ready for this World Cup thing that everybody's going to be chasing after here coming up in a little bit. Great to catch up with Karn and find out what's going on there with FanPath. So once again, go to usefanpath.com and get all your information there. And then that way you can find out anything and everything as they're getting ready and they're getting all of their stuff lined up for the hard launch in May, getting ready for this cup that the world is chasing after in 2026. So that's guest number one this morning here on Tuesday Thoughts. Noah Toumert coming by in just a sec to break down everything for the newest franchise in MLS NEXT Pro. Now, Cleveland has been trying to, for the last couple of years, get franchises in professional soccer leagues. In WSL has been a discussion. Major League Soccer is still probably part of the discussion too on some levels. And this is where we get our education from Noah and find out about MLS NEXT Pro and find out what's going on with them as they are the newest franchise set to launch in MLS NEXT Pro in 2027. And I want to know what they're doing here in 26. I want to find out what they're learning. Are they traveling to Connecticut? Are they going to games in the league? Are they going any and all places trying to gather intel? Are they staying at home? Are they building through the foundation? Are they just building the foundation elements and making sure that everything is fine there? Where is their intel? Where are all of their discussions when it comes to all of this stuff? So very, very intrigued to see about the growth, about the why, and trying to figure out, okay, we went here. Now the work really begins because we've got to get ready for next year. And everybody's sitting there going, well, next year is next year, but it's really not. And so when Noah comes in, we'll find out. And Noah is an executive director and the foundation director. And the foundation is a key part of that as well. And so, and that's something that we don't necessarily see a lot of. We do see it in lower divisions, and we do see it with seasonal franchises and things. But this is something that is 14 months a year, and the foundation is one of the key elements in this. And so, very, very cool that we will get to we'll get to kind of pick the brain in Cleveland and find out what's going on at Forest City up here in just a little bit. So, speaking of, bang, 9:30. I mean, it's right there at 9:30. Karn Saxena came in at like 9:05. I filibustered for 3 minutes. Now we go from the far east to Cleveland, or maybe the suburbs. I don't know. Noah, are you in Cleveland, or are you specifically in a suburb? Where are you?
I'm in Cleveland proper. I'm in the city of Cleveland.
Okay, so as we transition to you and find out what's going on, I guess the first thing we should say is congratulations. Yes, proper hydration and caffeine. That is always important here on the morning show. I guess the first thing we need to say is congratulations on the announcement last week. So now you're up and running, man.
Yep. Now it's real. It's been a long time coming, looking from the outside in, or from the inside out, but it has been awesome. It's been so much fun this last week.
Now, for those that may not necessarily know about the birth and the growth and everything, the idea in and around Forest City, Cleveland, you've wanted to, meaning the market itself, where you are sitting proper. There has been a desire for quite some time to be a part of the professional league landscape when it comes to soccer here in the United States, whether it's the men's side. Doesn't matter what the league is we're talking about. The women's side, there's been a push for NWSL franchises and things like that. Break down, for those that may not know, what Cleveland is as a soccer market and a soccer town, soccer area kind of a thing.
Yeah, Cleveland is, I think it flies under the radar a little bit just because we never been on the national scene in that way, but Cleveland is a massive soccer town. I think in general, as a city, we over-index in terms of being a sports town. For a city of our size to have 3 top-level sports teams, it makes people scratch their head. But now to bring a WNBA team and then 2 professional soccer teams, I think people who are outside Cleveland are like, how is that going to be supported? And what they don't realize is that not only are we crazy about sports, but we have a massive, massive soccer community. I mean, we have, one of the, I think like per capita, one of the largest soccer communities in the city. When you look at how performance happens for our universities, our club teams, our high school teams in the state, in regional national play, we always kind of overperform for what the expectation would be. And then on the business side, we're the last top 20 market in the country without a professional soccer team. There's such a desire for soccer here, both from the professional leagues and from the people themselves. Cleveland is very much a city built by immigration. So we have tons of ethnic groups that have, the Croatia Cleveland, a soccer club here in Cleveland. They have their own field house out on the east side where they've got, tons of pitches. They're one of the best teams in the area. They have a community center that's centered around soccer, and most of these ethnic groups don't really participate in the professional scene otherwise, because soccer is their main sport. You may go to a Browns game here and then, you might go to a Guardians game here and then, but you don't have a team that's really your love. So there's an entire subsection of the Cleveland population that's just been so excited to be a part of this team.
And so now that you're officially official, and this is where the rubber meets the road, let me ask about MLS NEXT Pro specifically. What was it that sat there and in Cleveland Pro Soccer was like, yep, that's the one that checks off all of the things that we're hunting for? Why MLS NEXT Pro?
Yeah, I think that it's one that our founder has talked a lot about, because that was the decision that he made. Michael Murphy and Nolan Gallagher made 4 years ago now. It's been a long journey. And a lot of it came down to the future business plan, commercial rights. They had built and sold a film distribution company prior to starting this journey in the world of soccer. So I think a lot of it came to looking at the future of those kinds of rights and saying, what is the future of soccer for kind of the niche and level that we're going to operate at in Cleveland, what's available to us, what looks the most sustainable, and what do we want to be a part of in the future. And as MLS NEXT Pro continues to grow, continues to bring in more independent teams, I think that was part of the vision that we wanted to be a part of.
And MLS NEXT Pro has made no secret about wanting to bring in independent ownership.
Yeah.
You see it in Chattanooga, you see it in Connecticut. Now with you guys, has there been any discussions? Are you flying in a Cessna down to Chattanooga to find out what's going on at Fort Finley? Are you going up to Connecticut to find out what's going on with CT United? What are there conversations about feedback and all this kind of stuff with the other independents?
Yes, surely there is. Those are the conversations that I'm not in the role that I hold. But I will say that I've spent quite a few weekends in the last decade or so down at Chattanooga from back when they were an NPSL club. I actually, when they did their first fan ownership thing, like I think it's got to be about a year ago now. I was one of the original owners, have the owner kit. So I've had a lot of love for that club, and honestly, I'm just so excited that my new team, my hometown team, is going to get to match up against them.
Well, and one of the things that I always thought that has been important with the Cleveland launch is the foundation element of it, and that's where I wanted to discuss things with you. Was not a lot of folks will sit there and come to the table and sit there and have the foundation element, even with everything else, with the wins and the losses and making impacts and things like that. What has it been like for you to know that the foundation, equal partner right off the top, this is one of the priorities that we have for this franchise from absolute zero?
Yeah, that's my role as the executive director of our foundation. And when we talk to other teams, whether it's MLS teams or, the Cavs or anyone else in the pro sports space, I think everyone's like, you're doing the foundation a little early. You're focusing on the community impact a little early. You guys haven't kicked a ball yet. But part of my kind of sell internally on that wasn't just because it's work that I'd been doing in Cleveland for the last 5 or 6 years, but it was based off of clubs like Chattanooga and clubs like Detroit City FC that I followed forever, where, it's not necessarily a foundation in the traditional sense, although they do a lot of community work, but it's that question of how do you create authentic relationships with the people in your city? Because you can't, especially in lower division soccer, if your goal is to just say, hey, we're going to be a pro team and we're going to be transactional, people will buy season tickets because there's great soccer going on down the street. It's just not really how it works. You're competing with so much time for people's attention and where they're going to spend their dollars, that to me, especially in a market like Cleveland that's oversaturated with sports, I always knew that if we didn't come in as a true steward and North Star for what the future of soccer and the benefits of what that could mean for the Cleveland community, if we weren't coming in like that leader and leading with authenticity and generosity and showing that off from the beginning, we were always going to have a harder time, not just, endearing ourselves to the market, but then getting fans in seats. And it's kind of always been my philosophy that philanthropy is the most cost-effective marketing that you can do. So not only is it a good thing for us to go be members of the community, to fill gaps that exist in the social service space, but also in the soccer access space. But that's how we're going to get people to not just be fans, but be like members. So, I think that's been a big grounding philosophy of ours, is if we do good for the city, then they'll do good for us as well.
Yeah, and I was gonna talk about that specifically, because you're going in with the idea of, okay, we're going to build the foundation, or we're going to build this section of the foundation as we're leading into playing, instead of, okay, we're going to play and then we're going to build the foundation and all these other elements. It's somewhat inverted from what folks are used to seeing when it comes to an expansion team that is launching in insert league here.
Yes. Yeah. I think a lot of the times, and I don't think that there's necessarily a right or wrong. There's no Bible on this, but I think most of the time teams say, hey, let's get the ball kicked and then we'll figure out the rest down the line, figure out what the community wants. And for me personally, I was lucky enough to be asked to join a group where this was always in their mind. So I met the founders when I was running community soccer programming for refugee and immigrant communities here in Cleveland. And Michael just came out to one of our practices one day and said, like, hey, we're looking for someone who's doing this, because both of our founders were not long-term soccer guys. Said they wanted this team to be more than just a professional team. They wanted to be something that was truly beneficial and revolutionary for the city of Cleveland. So they just came out and met me 3.5 years ago and said, hey, we're doing this pro soccer team thing. Do you want to help out? And It's grown from there, but they led with that kind of vision on what it was going to be from day one. That was before we had even announced MLS NEXT Pro.
So then what has the response been like over the last X amount of time? And take your calendar space however you want to take it, however far back you want to go. What's the response been like about, okay, well, hey, Cleveland Pro Soccer, we're out here in the community. Okay, so when are you kicking a ball? I mean, is it that kind of a transactional conversation? It's like, yeah, you guys are great, looking forward to it, but when are you having games? Is that been kind of at least early feedback in this?
A little bit. I think people were confused because when you think about a pro soccer team or pro sports team, you don't think about the name being Cleveland Pro Soccer. You think about it being something like Forest City Cleveland with a nice badge and great colors. So we've done 3 mini pitches through the U.S. Soccer Foundation's mini pitch initiative. And doing those the response itself is great because we're filling a need, but there's always kind of been that question of like, so who exactly are you guys? Heard that there's a pro soccer team coming, but is that you? Or are you something different? And last summer we held a series of community events. So we did community street soccer pickup right next to the Brown Stadium and the water. And it was the first time that street soccer was ever really played in Cleveland. And it kind of caught wildfire. And we ended up doing a men's and women's cash prize tournament at the end of the summer, just kind of naturally building out of this community we built. And it was incredible. But, it was hard to get not so much the soccer community, but the business community, the people who aren't really in the know about soccer. When I was reaching out and saying, hey, we're doing this event, we're going to have a few hundred fans down there, a few hundred players, would love to get a sponsor. And they're responding back, who are you? Like, we've never heard of this organization, and you're coming and doing some event in a cool space. What is that? It's a little bit easier when you're sending an email to someone or hopping on a call with them, and you can say, yeah, remember, you see that pro sports team that was launched last week? That's who we are. Obviously, this is an easier face to walk into the room with.
And one of the other elements that is attached to this is the notion that you're going to have your own barn out of the blocks, and that is obviously in a day of specificity. And I can't believe I just broke out that word at 40 minutes into the morning. To have a soccer specific stadium that you're building on your own, that you can control on your own. We're seeing it in Fort Wayne in USL League One. We're seeing it in a bunch of other places. It's like part of the fabric of this is to have that soccer specific stadium, and you're putting it in that key area where if you're looking at progressive, and then there's the overhead shot that the chopper shot that you'll normally see for any kind of a sporting event. The network that's doing it, there's like, and live from Insert Stadium here, there's always that beauty shot of the downtown area or wherever they are. You're going to be a part of that beauty shot now as things develop. This is you're not messing around with the soccer specific stadium in a very key part of sports there in Cleveland with this launch.
Yeah, it's an awesome area, and anyone who's lived in Cleveland who knows that area knows that it was kind of begging for something to be put there. I mean, that's another great part of it as a community member. It's not like we were removing housing or taking out part of a community. It was an area that was just left completely undeveloped across the highway from the Gateway District where the Cavs and Guardians play. And part of it is that we're just lucky that Cleveland is a community that is built on partnership and collaboration. So to acquire the land and do a lot of the planning on it, we partnered with the Metro Parks, our park system here, one of the greatest park system in the country, and they've got a vision for how this connects into their corridor that connects the national park to the city of Cleveland. The Gateway District, the Cavs, the Guardians have all been so supportive and helped kind of at every step of the way, because I think when we look at it, and again, this is what we're lucky on, is that everyone looks at it as a net positive. There's no, hey, you're eating our lunch. There's no competition because a rising tide lifts all boats, and anything to get people down to these areas that are main economic drivers in the city of Cleveland, these entertainment districts, it just only stands to benefit everyone. So, there's a lot of cool projects going in that might make it easier to move people down for all teams' games and keep people down there. And yeah, we're just so excited to be a part of it because, like I said, anyone who lived in Cleveland who I've talked to who says, oh, that's where the stadium's going, is like, we needed that. We absolutely needed something to go in there and an anchor on that other side of 90. So just so excited as a lifelong Cleveland person to be a part of a development like that. It's a plot that I went to high school in downtown Cleveland, and I drove by it every day going to school. So now to be able to drive by it and be like, I don't have to play soccer in the small stadium across the street. We get a real stadium here. So that's just something that makes me so happy.
Okay, so break it down for us, because I know a lot of folks were sitting there and they were going, "What?" when they saw Forest City, Cleveland. Break that. I mean, it's not your traditional name. I mean, it is very soccery, dash Y. Yeah, so why Forest City, Cleveland? And I know that part of that is to get away from FCSC United and things. But why Forest City, Cleveland?
Well, the Forest City, Cleveland, kind of how that works is, like you said, it's like it is very cute. It's tongue in cheek, where you get the FC Cleveland, where it's Forest City Football Club, kind of the play on that. We never really wanted to pick a side on the football versus soccer thing. I think partially because like I said, we have so many immigrant communities here that for me, and I've always felt this way about it. Call it whatever you want. It's the world's game, and it goes by many names, and it speaks a lot of languages, and it's the great uniter. If we call it football or soccer, you know what it is. But the Forest City is a moniker that is a nickname for the city of Cleveland, I think from early 1800s, and it's one that, if you're not from Cleveland, you probably never heard that or never thought about it, but is used all the time here in Cleveland. We don't have any pro sports or any sports that touch that. There was an old baseball team in the 1800s that used that, Cleveland's first baseball team, but since then, no pro sports teams have used it. So we did a big fan polling process. This was one that I always thought and hoped and kind of knew was going to end up being in the mix, just from being in the Cleveland soccer community. People have kind of always thought that this should be our soccer team's name. So I wasn't surprised as we talked to fans that this was the overwhelming choice, that everyone wanted something for a city for our men's team.
Okay, so you've got the to-do list. I know that FCCLE, clap, 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 clap. You've got a to-do list because you're now on the clock. And I mean, like on the clock, not just the build, not 3.5 years away, but now with the announcement and everything, you're on the clock. And I know that there in the offices, there's got to be a to-do list in there somewhere. And I ask this question of all of the new franchises that come online, and whomever from the front office gets to hang out with us here. Where is that to-do list? Like I said, could be on a legal pad, could be on one of those, ring binder notebooks like we had in high school, could be, Google Calendar on a phone, which I would figure out how to access last because I'm not very good at it. Could be on one of those big 6-foot by 8-foot dry erase boards that's hanging on a wall that I don't see currently off to the side. It's got a bunch of colors and arrows and things flying around all over the place. Where is that to-do list for the franchise, and what do you think the next thing that you can cross off it is as you get ready for 27?
So it's living in Google Drive. It's in Google Drive. Our chief marketing officer, Gina Proden, is she's a whiz, and she's got everything organized for us on what our marching orders are for the next, I don't even want to know how long she's got us programmed out for. But the next thing to cross off is today. It's the St. Patrick's Day parade. Cleveland has a massive St. Patrick's Day parade, and we were lucky enough to get in right at the deadline to bring a group in. And we always thought this would be a cute idea if we could time it up with the lunch and merch, because of the main color being green. Right after you and I hang up, I'm heading downtown, and unfortunately it's 20 degrees and snowed last night. And so we got a fun little day of us, especially our first public kind of go to market in-person event since the brand launch. So we have over 100 people coming to be a part of our group, and handing out merchandise, starting to actually interact with the public around what this brand looks like in an interpersonal way. So that's the next thing that's on our radar for today, at least.
Other than Gina perhaps figuring out how to make polar gear that's got the FCC at least. I mean, it's You've got the gear that's up there now that's making folks jealous, but I figure functionality perhaps when it
Yes.
comes to days like today would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and especially as they look at different schedules, I think that Cleveland winter gear for soccer that's going to sell out. People are going to like that, especially if we have a winter like we did this year.
No doubt. ForestCityCLE.com is the place to go. Now, with this year, I'd mentioned in the past taking tours. Are you going to be traveling around and checking out other franchises in Next Pro just to kind of see how they're kicking the tires on things? Is there going to be note comparisons between now and when everything starts to go online?
I would guess so. I would guess that there will be quite a bit of that knowledge share between both MLS Next Pro and other MLS teams. We have a great relationship with the crew. So I was just down there at the beginning of the year. And I would guess that that's going to continue in a major way. We have, especially on my end, so many events planned for this summer that for me, I'm a little narrowly focused on like, let's get through this summer, everything World Cup, everything summer of soccer, get our foundation up and kicking, and then continue to do that work. That was a lot of what I did last year, actually, in the lead up to this brand launch, was going and meeting with every MLS team who would let me in the door and trying to learn about what their community impact and foundation work looks like.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, you knock on the door of Atlanta United, they will tell you what you need to know about all that kind of stuff. Guaranteed.
One of the best clubs in the league.
Fantastic. Good to know on that intel. Okay, do not be a stranger. I'm going to let you go to the parade. I see that you're wearing a short sleeve shirt. I pray that Gina has given you like a nice puffy coat to get to walking. Buy the hot hands. Go to the store and get the hot hands.
That's what I'm literally about to do that. I'm going to get 10 of them in my hat. Ideally strap them all over my body.
And then they actually have the ones that you can put on your instep. That can go in the boots too. So you got to get those. Just stay warm. Have a great parade. Wear green. And I know that's real hard for you right now. Tongue firmly planted in cheek. Thanks for dropping by. It was great to find out what's going on now that the launch is officially launched. Don't be a stranger. We're looking forward to seeing you guys in MLS Next Pro. Can't wait to see the stadium development and how that comes to pass with a capacity of 10,000. Go get cold, Noah. Thanks for dropping by.
I will. I'll go get cold and I'll have a beer. Thanks so much for having me, John. Happy to come back in whenever you want to talk more soccer in Cleveland.
Beautiful. Thanks, Noah. Go get him.
Yeah.
There he goes, Noah Toumert, and he's the foundation director and the executive director up there in Cleveland for Cleveland Pro Soccer. ForestCityCLE.com. ForestCityCLE.com. The gear's pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. T-shirt's pretty cool. And the scarf, obviously, is very, very cool as well. So ForestCityCLE.com. And so they're heading out. So for those of you that might want to be ducking out and checking out local Cleveland television and the St. Patrick's Day Parade, they're in it. So he's out the door. He's going to go get cold, and he's going to go watch. He's going to go be a part of the parade. So very, very cool that we got to catch up with them and find out what's going on. But like I said, by the way, this is the fullest extent of the green that I will be either wearing or in possession of today. That's the full description of the boss, as you can tell here. Dibs on the redhead. So the boss is in, and she's going to be hanging out and doing things in downtown Decatur later today when she comes back from work. I, however, will be at Lake Oconee Academy as our high school schedule continues. Thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente, couldn't do it without them. And it is GMC Prep at Lake Oconee Academy, a really cool matchup in Single A. LOA traditionally deep runs in the playoffs. GMC Prep traditionally deep runs in the playoffs. Can't wait to see these two matchups coming up tonight. And it'll be on the network. You'll be me today out at Lake Oconee Academy in Single A. We are not going to have a matchup on tomorrow, although we are efforting coaches for Red Clay, which will be on at noon, to get back into the swing of things when it comes to the high school game. So we'll have the Red Clay hour for you coming up at noon tomorrow. Thursday, we will be at Gilmer for Calhoun and Gilmer. That will be Calhoun and Gilmer is Thursday. And then Friday, it is going to be Dalton and Cedartown. So we're heading out. So we're heading outside the perimeter for Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So today, me, GMC Prep, LOA. That is on Thursday. Dalton and Cedartown is on Friday. Gilmer, we're going to visit LJ. Jason's going to visit LJ on Thursday, catch up with Coach Johnstone, and let you know what's going on there. So 3 match days this week, and the high school coverage continues with us here starting today, Thursday, Friday. Saturday, obviously, with Major League Soccer, Atlanta United and DC United is going to be on Star 94. That coverage starts at 6:30 with Five Stripes Countdown with Abe and Maddie, and then the game with Mike and Jason, and then me and Abe after on the full-time report. Then Sunday night, 7:02-ish kick, pregame 6:30. It's going to be Atlanta United 2 at Crown Legacy at the Sportsplex at Matthews. So our pregame starts at 6:30, kick a little after 7, and we'll have that one for you on the network. So that is the week that is going to be when it comes to everything here in Major League Soccer and MLS NEXT Pro and the high school game and all the things. And so coming up in a couple of minutes, Kaylor Hodges is going to join us before he heads out on his vacation, because I think this is spring break week in Alabama, so for schooling. And so after he talks to us, he's packing all of his ish and he's heading out the door. And so he's going to head on vacation. You know, as I talked about the guy, he pops into the room. So tell you what, we're going to take him early. We're going to go ahead and take Kaylor early and find out what's going on, so he actually can leave and go on vacation. So we'll bring Kaylor in, and hot tag. We go from Cleveland, Ohio to Western Alabama and find out what's going on with Kaylor. Kaylor, what up? You're going on vacation, right?
Well, yes, I'm going on vacation, and a part of that vacation is going up to Asheville versus Greenville in the U.S. Open Cup. So why not a little bit of 2 for action, you know?
Okay, and so you're getting the furniture shopping, you're getting the beer drinking, and you're going to go watch Open Cup. I see how this goes. That's
Yeah, I mean, I can't watch Open Cup in my local club, so I might as well go watch it for somebody else.
Yes. So I wanted to get into our somewhat of a monthly visit, but considering that the season has already started with Championship and League One, I wanted to get into that with you. But obviously, first off, I have to ask about where things stand with 2 sides of an issue that they still are disagreeing on. Where do things stand right now when it comes to discussions, general frustrations? How pissed are they at each other? Are they sitting down at the table? What is the current status of negotiations trying to lock in a CBA?
You know, I think the season starting was a big deal for the owners because things just got a whole lot harder for the players to call a strike and call it good faith. That's kind of the general read that I'm getting, because now you're going to have teams that are on the road. And from what I hear from a lot of players, the issue is not player versus club, it's player versus league. Well, guess what? If the players on the road call a strike, the club is out a lot of money out of travel, hotel cost. So that instantly becomes a club versus player issue. So that's kind of what I'm hearing on that side. They're not so far away from the latest numbers that I've heard. However, when I'm talking about so far away, we're talking a couple thousand a month, maybe like $2,000-$3,000 a month here on salaries, maybe a little bit in compensation. Maybe compensation isn't exactly where they want it to be, but it's close. But I think because it's so close, nobody wants to concede whatsoever. So I think we have full-on stalemate right now. Everything I've heard right now is the word good faith is still happening. That is an important word when it comes to these negotiations. Do I think it gets resolved soon? I don't know. It's kind of all quiet on the Western Front right now. But, you know, I think a little bit right now, a lack of news is good news. And I think fans kind of need to see it that way as well.
Yep. First 2 weeks are in the barn, and looking at things, I guess we'll take it a conference at a time and start close and work our way further out. You know, couple of clubs have gotten their first licks in. Sporting Jacks is officially official, and I think that's that's big for USL Championship. You've had a lot of big crowds at Hodges so far. Whether they're looking at preseason, but now that things are up and running at Hodges, they're doing really well. What's some of your takeaways in the Eastern Conference? Teams have played either once or twice, including the Businessman Special that they had at Protective with Hartford Athletic. But takeaways early on in the Eastern Conference.
Early takeaways, I don't think there's been a bigger riser from preseason ideas of who they would be to where they actually are than Hartford for me.
Yeah,
I thought Hartford was a top 8 team, but I didn't think they were going to be as good as they were defensively. They've been really solid defensively, and I know some people were like, well, they don't really string together a lot of passes, but they're very much we're going to beat you in the counterattack. That's kind of been Burke's thing when he's been going right. So I've been really impressed with that. Lou City, of course. I mean, honestly, their win versus Lexington means a whole lot more than their win versus Miami. I think that with Louisville, they just look more and more dangerous, and Akale is exactly who you brought him in to be. Donovan looks exactly who you thought he would be. And Ray Serrano is back, and he looks incredible. Towards the bottom, Miami, from conversations I've had with coaches that played them in the preseason, they told me that this may be the worst professional team I've ever seen.
Worse than we've seen like 2 years ago, worse?
They said this is the worst professional team I've ever seen.
Wow.
And then we saw them play, and I thought, there's no way. This has to be hyperbole. Like, they have to be over-exaggerating. And I know it was Louisville, but they may not be wrong.
Wow.
Loudon, I'm interested in their build right now. On one hand, I know they were missing a lot of players versus Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is looking great right now. But the decision to move on from Ryan Martin does not look very, very good right now, especially, foreshadowing, looking at the Western Conference. Wow. That was a decision.
And I mean, so before we go into the West and talk about Ryan Martin at Oakland, which is obviously the slam dunk topic in the Western Conference right now, I guess I'm grouping the Miami FC and Loudon together.
I don't know if I am. I do think that there's.
I'm just trying to as a topic per se. Just I'm trying to figure out what in the wide world of sports is wrong with the Miami FC in general, that they continue to reload so poorly. And then Loudon moving on first off, Loudon moving on from Ryan Martin, which was a mistake, and choosing to invest in certain ways or not invest in certain ways. It's befuddling at times when you look at the Miami FC and you look at Loudon, and I know they're trying to go about it different ways, but you still end up with the same result. Please continue.
Yeah, when I'm looking at who is in my personal kind of bottom right now, the Miami is easily there. I'm looking at Indy, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing out of Indy whatsoever. Brooklyn got a win early on, but are you going to consider the penalty 1-0 win over Indy, who I just said didn't like anything that they were doing, to be great? I mean, they get throttled by Detroit, who I still think, if you watch our version of our 90s, 50s, 10s, which is 9%, 50%, 10% chance of happening, Detroit had my 10%, which I think they have a 10% chance of hosting the USL final. I think they're that good. But Brooklyn also looked that bad. That's kind of where I'm looking at these teams. And Loudon, talent-wise, if they have everybody, I still think they're fighting for a playoff spot. But if you have all those players that you lost to Oakland and you have Ryan Martin, how much more comfortable are you feeling about this upcoming season? For me, I'd have a ton of confidence in this squad. For Miami, listen, we all remember when they were breaking transfer records. Richie Ryan was a $750,000 man. I love Richie Ryan. He's a great player. Almost $1 million of a transfer deal. I don't know. but they're not that same spending team anymore. And I think a little bit from conversations I heard, they were spending a lot of money to get the best players to miss the playoffs. Now they're spending a little bit of money on not so great of players to still miss the playoffs. I mean, I hate to call it a business decision, but as they are preparing to move to Homesdale, it's a bit of a business decision.
I mean, you look at this roster, and I mean there are some names here that folks. I mean, Eloy Room is a part of this roster. I mean, that is a massive callback for folks here in the U.S. You're looking at Dalton Knutson, who's on this roster, Mason Tunbridge, who's on this roster, who is known in this footprint for his time in Tormenta and USL League One. Joel Senora is on this roster. Lacadia at forward is on this roster. So there
Rodrigo
are some.
Da Costa is on there, who's gonna like there are good players. When we talked about this team preseason, the core is there. There is a core here that you can believe in, but where the auxiliary piece is going to be enough for them to take a step. After last year and what you got with Bonifilio, you thought, okay, maybe there's a little bit of secret sauce going on. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I think the secret sauce got sold out at the store, and it might be you're trying to figure out where you can pick some up at the 7-Eleven on the Turnpike. You look at that Eastern Conference. I figure, that the Miami FC. What's going on with? You mentioned Indy, and I'm like, you're not liking what's going on with Indy 11. What's up there?
I do think there's a little bit of my friend John Morrissey is getting in my ear, and he might be the most pessimistic Indy fan ever. I got to be honest with you, but when I'm looking at this team and you're relying on Eric Dick to be playoff Eric Dick. And I want this to be known. I think Eric Dick is an amazing goalkeeper. But if you watched him in the preseason, or not preseason, the regular season last year, he was not playoff Eric Dick. He was a good goalkeeper, not the best goalkeeper in the league. He turned into the best goalkeeper in the league. But you're relying on somebody to go on a 4-game stretch and make it last for 30-plus matches. That just doesn't feel realistic. You have Paco Craig, who is looking 33 years old. You have Mikel Rashid, who looked really, really good. But is he enough to overcome having Aiden Quinn play left back? And I'm not saying that as a bad way. Aiden Quinn's having to be the entire attack over on the left-hand side. He's not dropping back because he's all their attack. If you're looking at the right side, Hayden White, I'm not sure. So you're relying on a back line to be interesting enough. You bring in Noble Okello, who you see 6'5", 6'6" player, and you're like, that should be great. But he's not a destroying midfielder. He's, other than winning the ball in the air, which he'll do, he's not providing much else for this team. He's not winning duels on the ground. He's not putting in the game-saving tackle. He's not passing the ball particularly well. So you're having a number 6 where you're just hoping he wins goal kicks, and that's all you're asking of him. This back line is relying a lot on Eric Dick, and if he is last year's version of Eric Dick, pray to God you get the 8th seed and he gets to the playoffs, because he's not going to be able to stand on his head like a Nate Steinwasser did a couple years ago. That he's not quite that level of keeper. He is a great goalkeeper, but he's not that.
All right. You know that we can't go to the West without me asking about Birmingham. 2 matches in, 1 point. You get the draw last time out. What are your early thoughts? The goalless draw and the businessman special against Hartford.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing out of Jay Heaps. They look very lively. They have a lot of energy about them. I saw in preseason, I had a lot of hope for this team. My good friend John Fuller, who does the Football Forge, kind of mentioned that he thought this was the most talented team we've ever had in Birmingham. I'm not willing to go that far, but I am willing to say this is the most complete roster we've ever had in Birmingham. There aren't massive holes here. I don't see a noticeable weakness. Maybe left back is it, but that's about it. Everything else seems to complement really well. And the RBN has been an absolute revelation over on that left-hand side, displacing former U.S. youth national team and Liga Meki player Sebastian Salcedo, a player that the U.S. men's national team really wanted over Mexico. So he's been a really great player. Now, if he can just finish some of those chances, because I think he has 3 big chances missed already this season. And that's not to say that he's not a good player. Actually, I think that shows just how good of chances he's getting. Once he can find the finishing boots, I think you're going to see real goal explosion there. I'm really excited for what this team has, and I think Jay Heaps has brought a really good energy to this team.
Western Conference, and now we finally get to talk about Ryan Martin. And Oakland is just basically smashing people. And I mean, for a town that has wanted to that embraces the roots on a surface level and has wanted them to succeed, and they've tried and tried and tried, and you've had close calls, and you've had teams that have not done really well. Now you bring in Ryan Martin. You knock off your region rival, I guess one of your rivals in the area, Monterey Bay, and we'll get to them as a part of this discussion coming up. You knock off Monterey Bay, and then you beat New Mexico, and now you've got Phoenix coming up, and so this murderer's row that you've got coming up: Phoenix, Orange County, week off, Tampa Bay. You've done well out of the blocks at 2-0, but you've got these next 3, which are kind of going to be I think it's going to be an early marker as to figure out where you are under Ryan Martin, but good marks so far for Oakland.
Yeah, if I'm looking at these next few matches for Oakland, I think you're looking at Phoenix as, I can't believe I'm saying this, as the easiest team here. And it's really, a lot of it comes down to what can Phoenix score, right? Like, can they just score the ball? I don't know. I really don't, because I know Oakland's going to get goals. Are they going to get 1, 2, 3 goals? Maybe. I do like the back line for Phoenix right now, but do I trust Phoenix to score more than 1 goal? Not really. If I'm looking at Orange County, though, Orange County is a lot better than I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be pushing for a playoff spot. I did. But now you're looking what they have up top, where they have Liam McKinnon is looking like Greenville Liam McKinnon again. He's looking like that guy. Jameer Johnson, he's providing something, not quite there yet. But Chris Hager has been fantastic. You have Stephen Kelly has been fantastic. Palomino has been great. Oh, also they just signed Bazzini from Tormenta. And I said last year on the show that Yana Bazzini was my dark horse Golden Boot winner. He came dang close. And now you're putting him into a Orange County team where he can be a big body, hold up the ball well, and he can win the ball in the air, providing them something they don't really have. He's going to help complete that roster out. Then you're looking at Tampa Bay, who, from what I saw with them versus Birmingham, what I've heard from people behind closed doors, they're going to push the ever-living crap out of Louisville City this year. Like, they are going to be up there with Louisville in terms of pushing them in the Eastern Conference. They seem like an easy second, and there's a world where they can kind of nip them at the very end for first. That's a great team. Can Oakland make it through all those matches with 3 straight wins? I don't think so. And it's not because I don't think they're good enough. I just don't. That's a hard stretch. But do I see a world where Oakland walks out with 6 points, 7 points? Yeah, pretty easily. I think that this is going to be a really fun team to watch all year long. They're getting contributions everywhere. Their back line's been strong, and their wings and winning the ball in the air in the center of the park, they've been fantastic.
Kaylor Hodges at the USL show, at Kaylor Hodges, hanging out with us as he does, whether monthly or in case of issues, break glass, and we try to call him in on the spring break week. El Paso, Colorado Springs, Sacramento, San Antonio. They're all 1-0-1 out of the blocks. El Paso, for me, I think, is probably the the early marker. You sit there and you go, oh, okay, El Paso at 1-0-1 out of the blocks. Everybody else I'm anticipating in that group to be a part of this discussion. You talked about Orange County, Vegas, and then I think right now the West. Is it fair to say the West is kind of like upper half, lower half, where you kind of have those folks that you anticipate being a part of the discussion, short of El Paso, in the upper half, and then in the lower half, you're looking at kind of, you mentioned Phoenix, Vegas, and then Tulsa with what they had to do transactionally in the offseason, New Mexico stumbling at 0-1. So are we looking at two halves kind of in the Western Conference this year, you think?
I don't think so. I think we're looking at three divisions.
Got
I
it.
think you're seeing California, where you have Oakland, Sacramento. I think you have a whole lot of teams, and at the very bottom you have Monterey Bay.
Whew.
So I think you're really looking at three divisions. You're looking at that Northern California, everybody else, and then the last part of Northern California.
Huh.
I think the space between what I think is the number 3 team still in FC Tulsa, because even with their loss to Sacramento, 2-0 loss, if
Right.
you watch the match, I think Tulsa is incredibly unlucky to not come away with the point. I think it could have easily been 2-1 in favor of Tulsa, or 2-2 and get a draw. I think the points total looks worse than the performance have been. And then, so I think they're my number 3. And then after that, it's just a slog. Just good luck figuring it out. All I know is that Monterey Bay is definitely down there.
Yeah, and you mentioned Monterey Bay. They're throwing money at the problem. They are investing. You've got defense obviously worries me. Midfield, you've got Adrian Rebelar, who's now in. They signed Sebastian Lletget to see if there's anything left in Sebastian Lletget's tank in the midfield. You mentioned Lletget at forward. Amari Glasgow coming over from Chicago Fire and their organization. Defense for me is where I'm staring at Monterey Bay and I'm going, and I'm early concerns. I'm already ducking my head where Monterey Bay is concerned.
And I'm trying to remember right now if he was even listed. I think defensively, you're looking at Nico Gordon and saying, for the love, save us. Like, just come back and save us. Like, I don't know if he's injured or what's going on there. I'm assuming it has to be injury, because I do think that Nico Gordon's one of the best players in the league. He's a young player, came through Birmingham City, then goes to Austin, and now he's over in Monterey Bay. He has the potential to make his way back to England, and I don't think it's that far of a stretch. He's only 22 years old off the top of my head.
Okay.
And I think that he's going to be what can possibly save them a little bit. But Delgado has been doing his absolute best with what's in front of him. They're not going to score goals. You're really hoping on Lletget to do something, do literally anything. Other than that, I don't know. I'm looking at this team with a, how do I say this? I think they have a lower ceiling than Miami.
Okay.
I think their floors are similar. I think that maybe Monterey Bay's floor is a little bit higher. I think that they're going to end up averaging out to be better than Miami. But if I could see things clicking in Miami and them end up just being slightly above Monterey Bay for a wooden spoon, but it looks pretty dire out in Monterey Bay right now.
Yeesh. Before you go, since you mentioned why you were leaving, let's get into the opening matchups a little bit for US Open Cup. And it's always the fun part. This is always the fun part about all of this. And the matches, obviously your match that you're hunting is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Riverhounds in Steel City. You've got
Fun
Rhode
one.
Island. Rhode Island is a massive favorite against Filense. P-Hop P-Hop's numbers have kind of increased a little bit. They were an even money favorite. Now they're kind of sliding into the plus zone a little bit, going up against Vermont Green. I have that one as a 90-minute draw. It's going to take a while. It's going to be a hot crowd. If you're going to watch one match tonight, early side, it's got to be that one because of what we know about Vermont Green and what we know about P-Hop. They're throwing them together. It's Maine versus Vermont, man. You can't get any deeper into battle than that.
People who did not watch League Two last year and they only watched the crowds from Vermont and think that's a fun story, they were the best team. And obviously they won it all, but they went against a powerhouse in Ballard last year to win it all. They are the best team. They are single-handedly funneling players into League One and the championship right now. They were I would say close to a League One caliber team playing in League Two last year. And they're going to be going against Portland, who the more and more I look at their team, the more and more I have faith that they're going to be top two and they may not be number two this year. And that's a good squad, passionate fan base, but don't let the League Two logo make you think that they are a worse team than Portland. I think that is asinine. I think it's going to be the same thing at the match that I'm going to, Asheville versus Greenville.
Yep.
People are going to look at this Asheville team and say, well, Greenville should be beating them. Maybe, but also, if I remember correctly, Asheville didn't concede a single goal until the playoffs. Not a one. If you're looking for playoff soccer, which this is one and done, a team that can hunker down, defend the crap out of the ball, take you 0-0 or even get a goal themselves, 1-0, 1-1, and take you to penalties. Well, welcome to the 50-50 lottery. These are teams. Vermont was another one. Defensively so solid. Their goal scorers got the love, but their defense are the heroes. You're going to be looking at these teams and saying, okay, this is where you're going to be seeing big difference. I think that Pittsburgh Steel City is going to be a fun one because, well, Pittsburgh is having its first inner city matchup since the 80s, I think was reported.
Yeah.
But I think that Pittsburgh is a clear favorite here, not because they're a championship team, but because they are the ones that have the defensive solidity. Steel City were able to go on and score goals. That's why they were able to make it into the Open Cup, is because they had that goal scoring prowess. But do they have a defensive solidity to beat Pittsburgh? I don't really think so. As I'm looking through this, I think that Indy 11 versus Des Moines is going to be a fun one. Des Moines is known for having their defensive prowess as well, and they always have some fun names that come along. I haven't seen their roster yet to know what their fun names are this year. Maybe they went with their normal League Two team. Well, guess what? Their normal League Two team was also really freaking good. So I think that's another one that you could have a fun one. Looking at tomorrow, someone that's a Georgia connection for you guys. Kalajani profile.
Oh yeah, Kalanji, and Chattanooga, yeah.
That is Kalanji is a good team for people who haven't watched them. Chattanooga is in a little bit of disarray at the moment. Do I think Chattanooga gets a win? I do, but Kalanji is a good team if you have not watched them in person. They are a fun one. Kind of going through, just kind of looking really fast. The other one that I kind of want to point out here is Little Rock Rangers versus FC Tulsa. Little Rock Rangers, again, defensively solid. They've always been a good defensive team. Can they hold out versus FC Tulsa with Taylor Kaylor? No. Without Taylor Kaylor? Maybe. I wouldn't be shocked if Little Rock Rangers do it again and get yet another upset in the US Open Cup. I'm circling these good defensive teams because they're going to be the ones that are going to make these upsets. Look at Chattanooga Red Wolves last year. They were able to take down Chattanooga FC and go on their own run where they end up playing a MLS squad because they were defensively solid. They are built. Those defensive teams are built for the U.S. Open Cup because they can hold out for 0-0s, and you're going to be frustrated. And that all they got to do is get to the lottery, and they have just as good of a chance as you do.
Okay, so opening round, it looks like if Des Moines gets through opening round, then you might get more fun names. In net, Rami Atia and Jamie Berry. Defensively, Andrew Czech, Joseph Joshua De Bruin, Eric Legou, Joe McDade, along with his brother Jack, Eben McIntyre, Andrew Schaefer, Bryce Swinehart on defense. Midfield, Ian Campbell, Alcides Diaz, Theo Drennan, Cade Hagan. We mentioned Jack McDade and Josh Saavedra. At forward, it is Leroy Inzagusi, Evan Howard, and Stefan Morera. So it is a fairly normal sounding roster for at least the opening round. And I'm guessing if they get through, then they start having home games, then you might get your fun names for Des Moines Menace. You need to leave so you can go to that match. If not, go watch other matches along the way. What's going on with the USL show?
Show tonight. So we're going to be going live, talking about all the latest news around the league. And then tomorrow, I'll be out Greenville versus Asheville filming. And so hopefully we'll get a little on the road video. So that will be a ton of fun. And if people want to try to keep up in different ways, we've started a new top 5 series where we'll take the top 5 moments from around the USL and we put them into a nice little digestible 1 to 2 minute video. It can be goals, it can be saves, it can be the wind was blowing really hard in Colorado Springs and it was funny. So whatever we deem as a top 5 moments, it's already there for you. So check out the YouTube channel, check out all the socials, and we have those top 5 moments for you.
Very cool as always, my friend. Safe travels, have fun. We'll be watching on all the socials for everything going up there for that matchup. That's going to be fun when Asheville City and Greenville triumph. Have fun, my friend. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
There he goes, Kaylor Hodges. He's going to pack up and hit the road. He's going to be, let's see, so from here to Asheville, it is maybe 4. And so from here to Birmingham is 2.5. So you're looking at probably 8 hours of driving, maybe, if you include stops and meals and bathroom breaks and things like that, going from the Casa de Kaylor heading up to McCormick Field at the University of North Carolina, Asheville. We didn't get into USL League One, but just kind of quickly as to what's going on in USL League One out of the blocks. It is, once again, you've got Greenville acquiring Marcus Muir on loan from Lexington, and you have the broadcast schedule that has been unveiled by Paramount Plus. 35 games, championship in League One, the national broadcast schedule on Paramount Plus, the Deuce, and CBS Sports Network. And so as of right now, remember, you've got more teams this year than you did last. It is a 17-team league. And yes, we are still going to be keeping an eye on what's going on at Tormenta. And when Darren Van Tassel is in a position to talk, we will catch up with Darren. But this literally, you've got match week 1s and 2s. Naples has 4 points in their first 2 matches. Portland, Red Wolves, Ford Madison, Spokane, and AC Boise have all won their first matches out of the blocks. Knoxville is 1-1. Bill Hamid, by the way, is the keeper coach in Corpus Christi for Emon Zayed. AV Alta, Richmond Kickers, Charlotte Independence, Westchester, Sarasota Paradise, and Fort Wayne. They have 1 point in their first 2 matches. Greenville, Union Omaha, and the New York Cosmos are also in. So it's a 17-team league this year in USL League One. And looking at who else is on the board coming in fairly soon, you've got the mix of Fort Lauderdale United, where they started in the USL Super League, and they have come across. You got Port St. Lucie, so you're going to have a natural rivalry in the state of Florida amongst a couple of clubs. Rodeo Soccer Club, which is in the Sherman, Ada, Ardmore area, but it is off to the side. Texoma is in USL League 2. Rodeo Soccer Club is the offshoot of that's coming up in up-and-coming seasons in USL League 1, and then Sporting Cascades, and that's going to be a part of the natural rivalries out west. And so you're getting that regionalization that you were looking for when USL League One came online, but you're getting to 21 clubs, and you're finally getting to that hub idea that they were trying out of the blocks in the league. So that's early returns, obviously. Like I said, 1 or 2 matches in, but Open Cup really is the larger fish to stare at. And so we mentioned what's going on, and since Kaylor mentioned Open Cup, obviously we're going to be keeping an eye on Open Cup, and if there are any massive cup sets, we're going to try and track folks down and have them on for quick returns the next day. Today it is Richmond in Northern Virginia. That is at City Stadium in Richmond, 6:30 kick. All of these are available on YouTube except for the ones that are available on Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus has a doubleheader. CBS Sports Network smartly is broadcasting Vermont Green and P-Hop at 7 o'clock from Burlington, Vermont. So CBS Sports Network has that one. Golasso has Indy 11 and Des Moines Menace at 8. So they're gonna have 2 matches going on tonight. Rhode Island and Firenze is at 7 o'clock at Centerville Bank in Pawtucket. Riverhounds and Steel City at Highmark. Kaylor talked about that one. Detroit City, Michigan Rangers at Legacy Center in Brighton, Michigan. Westchester and Loudon is in Wayne, Pennsylvania. Switchbacks and Azteca is at Widener Field in beautiful downtown Colorado Springs, Colorado. Indy 11, Des Moines Menace, 8 o'clock in Westfield, Indiana at the Grand Park Events Center. And Phoenix and San Ramon from the League of Clubs. Hang out with 5 irons and 7 irons and stuff. So that is tonight. And that's at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Stadium at 34th and Washington. That one is tonight. So that's tonight's action in Open Cup. We'll take it a day at a time when it comes to Open Cup to get you juice boxes and such. But really the one to stare at tonight, like I said, Richmond minus 125 hosting Nova. Pittsburgh minus 294 hosting Steel City. Rhode Island massive favorite against CD Firenze. Vermont Green P-Hop. If you're not listening to me, getting ready for the boys match with GMC and LOA, have that one dialed up on a device. That one's going to be a hot crowd. Detroit City at 7:30, big favorite against Michigan Rangers. Colorado Springs, a massive favorite against Azteca. Indy 11 favored at home against Menace at a minus 263. Phoenix Rising against San Ramon is a minus 417. So that's tonight in the Open Cup. And so that's what you're going to be staring at tonight. Obviously looking forward to that. And welcome back to the Open Cup, because that is the fun part, one of the fun parts of this season. All right, let me say hi to everybody, because I haven't even had a chance to say hi to everybody this morning. And I know that we do have kind of like a World Cup date a bit when it comes to teams and trying to reorganize their playing schedules. So morning, Abby. Okay, so Abby saw Kevin last night at the Unified signing. Yes, and we're going to effort catching up with Marty Jellamy and getting ready for the season. They've got 4 matches this year. They start and end at home. They have 2 games on the road. I think the first match is in May. So you have 2 opportunities to hang out with the Unified team again. And I believe it's 22 unbeaten for Marty Jellamy and the Unified team. So we'll see where that streak continues to go this year. Dax got stuck in Orlando, so it was Egan last night. Okay, so it was Egan and Brad. And yeah, we need to have Kevin on to talk about things specifically. Let's see. So let's see. Morning Dell, and Dell signed up for everything with FanPath, and just keep an eye on him. Just keep an eye on him. And Abby made the point to bring in, and as did Ricky, the story that we're staring at about FIFA spokesperson says FIFA is in regular contact with all participating member associations, including IR Iran, to discuss planning for the FIFA World Cup. FIFA is looking forward to all participating teams competing as per the match schedule announced on 6 December. Iran was negotiating with the FIFA to move their World Cup matches to Mexico, according to a post by the country's embassy there. But as of right now, it is no, your schedule is what the schedule is, and we're not flipping anything. So that's where we are. Morning, Derek. And let's see. So, and Abby, thank you for the question about being stadium specific, and specifically now that meaning FanPath is probably about 5-6 weeks away from their hard launch. We'll keep an eye on that. Thanks to Karn for coming in this morning. Morning, Dell. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Abby. And, okay, that's interesting. Well, and also Abby's like trying to get the sign up page. Dell, how did you sign up? Please consult with Abby. I know, but Dell in Cleveland, that was fun. That was fun stuff. Morning, Lokeville. Morning, Ricky. Festive Custodian Y got booted. And May 9th. Thank you, Abby. So May 9th, the first match for the unified team. So looking forward to that. It's like May, June, July, and August. Or it's like May and July, August, and September. There's 4 matches. They start and they end at Mercedes-Benz, and they've got the 2 on the road. I think the road trips are Chicago and Fort Lauderdale. I think that's where they are. But 4 matches this year, and we're going to effort catching up with Marty Jelmy and find out what is going on in the United Unified world. So we'll catch up with him there in a bit. Okay, so we talked Open Cup. Champions League is today. And there are 4 matches in Champions League, and one at 1:45, the other at 3 o'clock. Obviously, it's the same tomorrow. Picks of the week has been posted in the Discord. So let's see if I have a better week than I did last week. It won't take much considering I won only 1 time, and we could not find the number of fouls in the Uzbek Super Cup. Found the cards numbers, but we did not find the foul numbers. So posted a fairly easily accessible question for the tiebreaker in the Uzbek Premier League this week. That is the tiebreaker. Picks of the week is in the Discord. I say that because of the Vermont Green P-Hop match being the first one in the grid. So if you are in Picks of the Week, you have until 7 o'clock tonight to launch your first pick. Champions League today. Sporting and Bodo Glimt. Sporting is a -208, and these are just the matchups themselves, not to win the matchup. Today's matchup only second leg. Sporting down 3-0. They're favored to win today to -208. Bodo Glimt is a +450, as is the draw. 3 matches at 4 o'clock. Arsenal at the Emirates is a -345 hosting Bayer Leverkusen. 1-1 draw in the first leg. Bayer Leverkusen, by the way, is a +1,000. Chelsea and PSG in that one, it was 5-2 PSG. Chelsea is a +110 to win today. Draws a +333. PSG is a +210. Manchester City and Real Madrid. Manchester City to win today is a -233. Draws a +475. Real Madrid's a +500. But Real Madrid has a 3-0 lead going into the second leg. So it should be fun at the Etihad because basically it shackles off everybody forward and just YOLO it. Manchester City and Real Madrid, 4 o'clock, YOLO on your Champions League. Early numbers for tomorrow. Barcelona favored. Bayern Munich big favorite. Liverpool big favorite. Spurs is now a dog. Initially, the way that we had it in Picks of the Week, it was when it was initially released. Both teams were at the same number. The number has shifted. Atletico de Madrid is a favorite, but if you're in Picks of the Week, we have it where the numbers were even at a +154. Now the number in the juice boxes for Spurs is a +160. Atletico de Madrid is a +154. And so that is where that is. Atletico de Madrid leads 5-2 going into that second leg. So you got that to look at. Missed it last night on soccer over there. Kat Macario. Looks like she is heading to San Diego, signing a record contract with the Wave. Let me check the San Diego Wave website to see if there is anything specific and or official or anything involving Katerina Macario that is official. San Diego Wave FC. So latest, let me see if there's anything specific from the website, and the answer is no, other than the spring break camps are still looking for folks to attend them, boys and girls ages 5 to 16, March 30 through April 2 and April 6 through 9. So nothing from San Diego, but the thing is that they had to join in before the trade deadline ended end of business yesterday. So they had to get everything done by the end of the window. Set to earn nearly $8 million fully guaranteed over the next 5 seasons, said the people who are granted anonymity because the details are private. Contract runs through the 2030 season, includes a bonus at signing and incentives that could push the total value higher. Macario is expected to join the club imminently. Trinity Rodman, remember, 3 years at $6, $2 million annually with bonuses. And she was the model for the hip rule. So now both Trinity Rodman and Kat Macario will both be HIP. Designation that you can allow clubs to spend up to $1 million over the $3.7 million salary cap in certain circumstances. Yes, Macario would be HIP. Wave shelled out roughly $300,000 in a transfer fee to bring Macario over this month before her contract expires this summer. Four-Letter was the first to report that she was in advanced talks with the club back in February. Once again, born in Brazil, moved to the U.S. at the age of 12. Started in Southern California, San Diego Surf, Stanford University. 3 seasons, 63 goals in 69 appearances, 2 national championships, 2 Mac Hermann trophies. Was supposed to be the number 1 pick in the draft to Racing Louisville. She went to Lyon instead. And so Lyon, Chelsea, injuries, 105 appearances in 6 years, 44 goals. Joined Nike last summer, 10 years, $10 million, replacing Adidas as her apparel and shoe sponsor, according to Forbes. Those deals are usually $60,000 to $70,000. Top stars earning as much as $800,000. She's apparently when she joined Nike, it's $1 million a year. Attendance dropped about a quarter after Alex Morgan retired last year. Lauren Leichman shelled out $800,000 in a transfer fee to land Brazilian forward Ludmila from Chicago Stars. And so now you'll have Ludmila and Kat Macario as a part of everything involving San Diego Wave. Anything and everything San Diego Wave. So you got to keep an eye on all of that. So that's the big news from what happened yesterday involving the NWSL. So now we need to get into the morning and what else we might have missed. So you're looking at, let's see, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I might have missed heading into today. Obviously, looking at the equalizer mentioning Kat Macario's record move and what happened in the first week of the NWSL season. We talked about that yesterday with Bart Kaylor and finding out everything there. Brazil named their club yesterday for this go around, called it Brazilian for the Brazilian national team for the first time. Igor Thiago's family. The video's out there. It's gorgeous. Miggy and Matias Galarza have been called up by Paraguay for friendlies this month. And so it is against Greece and Morocco. Other names for Paraguay, Omar Alderete from Sunderland, Junior Alonso. You've got Andres Cubas, Galarza. You have Alan Benitez, who has been called in. And let's see, Brian Ojeda has been called in. Diego Gomez has been called in. Mauricio Magalhaes has been called in for Gustavo Alfaro. And Sanabria has also been called in as well. So you're starting to get those rosters kind of trickling in for this particular window. And it is really looking forward to seeing how things are going to go. Pavel Buko has been named to the Czech national team for the upcoming UEFA World Cup qualification playoffs as Czechia seeks to earn their final spot, one of the final spots available in the World Cup, as the World Cup is World Cupping coming up just in a little bit of time. All right, so gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, the rest of the news, and all the things. Obviously, we talked about everything last night in a couple of leagues overseas. We talked about Scotland. We talked about Poland. We talked about a couple of other leagues in general. We talked about what's going on with England and how it's going to be laying out right now in the race. Our friends at The Guardian, I don't know if you missed this or if you saw this. Matt Hughes over at The Guardian, apparently there is a fight that is about to happen over economics. Tell me if you're stunned. A number of mid-ranking Premier League clubs are lobbying for a percentage of the biggest team's UEFA revenue to be used to help fund a new financial settlement with the EFL. Talks over the so-called New Deal for football have just been kind of hanging around since midway through the 23-24 season, when the Premier League put negotiations on hold after failing to get the support of clubs for a funding deal for lower divisions that would have been worth £880 million over 6 years. The newly created regulator has been charged by the government with reviving the discussions, has been given backstop powers to impose a settlement if the parties are unable to agree. Divisions within the Premier League over how to pay for it are still hanging around. Senior source at one top flight club told The Guardian a hell of a debate, in quotation marks, is looming over funding the deal and that there are plans to petition the regulator and the Premier League to introduce a levy on UEFA income, which is in place in some European countries. The Premier League's 6 clubs in the Champions League this season poised to receive a combined total of more than $600 million in broadcast income, pounds, and prize money. Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs having each banked more than £80 million for reaching the last 16. Newcastle's share to date is smaller at about 50 because they score significantly lower on the UEFA's value pillar assessment, which is partly based on historical performances, according to Hughes. The source talking to him, we all want to do a deal with the EFL, but why should it be solely funded by the Premier League's TV money? If that's the case, then a disproportionate burden will fall on the smaller clubs, who in effect will be funding their direct rivals in the EFL. There's going to be a hell of a debate about how this is funded. Other European leagues have a levy on UEFA income as a part of the redistribution mechanism, and we should do the same. Eredivisie does that in the Netherlands. Dutch clubs in UEFA competitions have to pay 5% of their group stage prize money to teams in the league that did not qualify for Europe, a figure which drops to 3.75% of revenue in the knockout stages. In addition, 15% of the club's UEFA revenue is distributed to teams in the second tier. Plans to call for a similar levy in the Premier League are at an early stage, partly because of the regulator's role in the negotiations is just getting started. Regulators' first task is to complete the State of the Game review, due to be published at the start of next year. IFR chair David Cogan has met the Premier League and the EFL, urged them to reach an agreement but cannot impose one until the review is concluded. So keep an eye out on that. Pep Guardiola admits he's going to have to take a perfect game to get past Real Madrid. Not really a surprise there. The Women's Asia Cup happened while we were sleeping. Samantha Lewis in Perth. Australia beat the defending champs China 2-1. They're going to get either Japan or South Korea in the decider on Saturday. Matildas are through to their first Women's Asian Cup final since 2018. 2-1 defeat over the reigning champs Tuesday night. Caitlin Ford then had her goal canceled out by a China penalty midway through the first half. Zhanlin Yan tripped in the box by Mackenzie Arnold. Sam Kerr with a goal in the second half, lifting Australia to their 4th major tournament final, their first on home soil since 2006. So keep an eye out on that one, with the Matildas possibly getting a Women's Asian Cup trophy. So we'll keep an eye out on that. We have not mentioned, we mentioned Ashley Cole last night. Ashley Cole gets his first managerial role as head coach of Cesena. Then we have not mentioned what's been going on in Philly. MLS has suspended union exec Ernst Tanner after a misconduct investigation, suspending him without pay through the 1st of June. He had been under league investigation since mid-November, following a report from The Guardian that detailed wide-ranging allegations of misconduct during his tenure. League issued a statement. Based on new information obtained during outside counsel's independent review, the investigation substantiated violations of MLS policies and standards of professional conduct required of league and club membership. MLS added that Tanner will be required to complete a league-approved restorative practices program before he's reinstated. MLS offered no further details into what specific details it had substantiated in terms of Tanner's alleged misconduct. Littler Mendelsohn, that law firm was, by them, the most recent investigation. League's second investigation into alleged misconduct by Tanner. Previously investigated after a complaint made early last year by the MLSPA, alleging multiple instances of racist, sexist, and homophobic behavior. Allegations the league was unable to substantiate. The Guardian's reporting outlined additional allegations, corroborated several within the MLSPA's complaint. After that report, the MLS front office ordered the investigation reopened and assigned outside counsel to lead it. Tanner has denied the allegations throughout, saying in November he would cooperate with the league fully as he works to, quote, works to clear my good name and reputation. Paragraph. I regret the impact that this situation has had on the Philadelphia Union organization and its supporters, Tanner said in a statement released yesterday. I remain proud of my work with the Philadelphia Union, look forward to my return and future work with the team. Then the club puts out a statement. Guardian reported last month that the recently reopened investigation had faced hurdles related to some potential witnesses being subjected to NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. The union and Littler Mendelson offered assurances at the time that anybody who wished to speak to league investigators would be allowed to fully participate in their investigation without fear of legal action. Tanner has spent much of his time on leave overseas, according to sources to The Guardian. February 17th, union owner Richie Graham posted 2 photos on his publicly available Instagram that included Tanner and several business associates. At the time, Tanner remained under league investigation, prohibited from working for the union. Then a source familiar with the investigation and its outcome said on Monday, the length of Tanner's suspension closely mirrors the length of suspension given to Bruce Arena in 2023. Arena was accused of making, quote, inappropriate and insensitive, end quote, comments, later resigning from the Revolution. Once again, now he's out in San Jose. As is required of Tanner, Arena was ordered to complete a league-approved restorative practices process. League suspension of Tanner's pay started yesterday. Unclear still whether Tanner continued to receive pay during the investigation itself. That leave was ordered by the union, according to sources, not by Major League Soccer. And so John Shear, Academy Director, is going to serve as interim sporting director for Philadelphia. Let's see if there's anything else that I might have missed before we get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Okay. And it'd be nice if you could actually hit things that would actually click and make sure that you can go from one place to another. All right, so getting into gossip, rumor, and innuendo. The 3-letter paper overseas claims that Manchester United want to make 4 signings in the summer window. I'll believe it when I see it, just from a financial standpoint. Want to bring in 2 midfielders to offset Casemiro's departure. Tonali, Adam Wharton, Elliot Anderson, Carlos Baleba from Brighton, and Bournemouth's Alex Scott. They also want a left-sided center back option in case Harry Maguire leaves, and could look to sign a backup keeper with Altay Bayindir set to depart. United seemingly won't have it all their own way when it comes to Elliot Anderson. The 4-letter paper have reported that they will face competition with Bayern Munich, ready to step up their interest in Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest as well. Various reports in recent times linking City with the England international 6 caps to his name despite and has impressed despite Forest's troubles. Calcio Mercato had linked Leon Goretzka with AC Milan, Inter, and Arsenal. Gazzetta dello Sport have reported Juve also want the midfielder who will be a free agent in the summer. Juve made 2 failed attempts to sign the German international during his career, ready to make a third. Spalletti has now put Goretzka at the top of his list for the summer. Juve are pressing to overcome the competition for his signature. Barcelona highly likely to sign Joao Cancelo if it is possible to do so on a free, according to Diario Sport. Fullback on loan from Al Hilal. Contract with the league we don't talk about runs through 27. Would be willing to give a significant portion of his salary to permanently join Barca following his second loan at the Catalan club. Juve increasingly confident they'll be able to sign Lorenzo Pellegrini as a free agent with his contract at AS Roma set to expire in the summer, reporting once again Gazzetta dello Sport. Pellegrini has a €4 million salary, few clubs willing to move for him. Wants to play somewhere where he can feel important and win trophies. And so Spalletti has respect for him. They've worked together previously, so that's where the dots seem to be leaning these days. United are in discussions with Barcelona regarding Marcus Rashford, the £26 million option to make the loan permanent, currently being seen as a barrier to a deal. Liverpool looking at a potential move for Real Madrid midfielder Camavinga, with Los Blancos willing to accept offers worth over £43 million. Some foreign clubs, specifically Premier League, have asked for information on AC Milan winger Rafa Leao, who could be worth around $70 million, according to Nicola Shira. Substantial offer from the league we don't talk about for Inter striker Marcus Thuram. A Juve scout was at Sassuolo's 1-0 loss against Bologna to monitor Ismail Kone. Martinelli, Luis Skelly, and Wanyeri all face uncertainty about their future with Arsenal, according to the Times. Brighton planning to sign Nordsjælland midfielder Caleb Urinki as a long-term successor for Carlos Baleba amid United's interest in him. That's from Team Talk. Morgan Rogers could pursue a move away from Aston Villa if they fail to qualify for the Champions League. Bazumana Toure from Hoffenheim on the market. They're demanding a record fee above the €43.5 million they received for Joelinton if the winger is to leave. That is from Sky Sports Germany. Monaco wants Cercle Bruges left back Nazinho. And there have been positive talks between both the parties. That's from Matteo Moretto. Filip Kostic, according to Nikola Shira, ready to leave Juve as a free agent in January. Juve doesn't want to renew the winger's contract, which expires in June. And keeper Josep Martinez could leave Internacional in the summer in search of more game time, and that is from our friend Nikola Shira. So that is your gossip, rumor, and innuendo on the morning. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. I can pretty much tell you where the Champions League stuff's going to be. That'll be an easy one. It's on all of the Paramounts. Being an Español has the Extras Clase. If you missed it last night, you know how crazy it is top to bottom. You know how crazy it is to get into the playoff picture. You know how crazy it is right now in the relegation picture. Jagiellonia, Bialystok, and Katowice at 2 o'clock. It's an opportunity for Katowice to climb into the playoffs and Jagiellonia, Bialystok to solidify their place in same. CBS Sports Network, Sporting and Bodo Glimt, followed by Watford and Wrexham at 3:45. Wrexham a dog on the road. And Open Cup once again at 7 o'clock. It is Vermont Green and Portland Hearts of Pine. Busy day for CBS Sports Network. FS1 tonight. We got to get into this. CONCACAF Champions Cup. Alajuelense and LAFC, the second leg's at 9. Cruz Azul Monterrey, second leg is at 11. Being an Español simulcasting the Polish League. 2 to NA, doubleheader Champions League. Sporting Bodo Glimt, Chelsea PSG, plus the Triple C, plus the CONCACAF. Unimas, Chelsea PSG at 4 o'clock. Golasso, Indian Des Moines Menace at 8. A-League was on the plus this morning between Sydney and Melbourne City. Fox O&E has CONCACAF at 9 and 11. Paramount Plus has all 4 of your Champions League matches. The championship match with Watford and Wrexham, Barnsley and Wigan, and then 2 matches available from League 2. Accrington, Stanley, Notts County, Grimsby Town, Fleetwood Town, and Open Cup has Vermont, Portland, and Indy and Des Moines available on Paramount Plus. U.S. Soccer YouTube channel has all 7 matches going on today. You can go on YouTube and watch all of them. And on the women's side, CONCACAF U17s on FS2, triple header. Mexico, Jamaica at noon, followed by USA, Bermuda at 2:30. Canada, Nicaragua was at 5. ESPN Deportes, Copa de la Reina, Tenerife, and Atletico de Madrid Femenine is at 2 o'clock. A-League was very early this morning. Fox O&E has all 6 matchups in the U17 championship, 2 at noon, 2 at 2:30, and 2 at 5. Fox Soccer Plus has Costa Rica, Panama at noon, Puerto Rico, Haiti at 2:30, El Salvador, Dominican Republic at 5. Peacock has your Super League with DC and Carolina. That is another business fan special, 11:30. So when we're off the air, you got about a half hour, and you can dial that up as a part of your day. You can, by the way, if you do not have it, you can watch Fanatis and get all of the streaming. You can add another streaming service to all of the stuff that you're streaming so far. You can do that at fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out. That link is important. You can get all of the BNs, which means you get Polish League, French League, Turkish League, Copa Libertadores. You get all of the AFCON activities, all the Champions tournaments and things like that, qualifiers. All of that's over on BN and BN Español, simulcasting the whole thing. You also, on Fanatis, get access to Tigo Sports, to Copa Argentina. You get to hang out and watch TEC out of Argentina as well, with everything that they put on. Their live programming is tremendous. You get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You get Colombia, you get Paraguay, you get Uruguay, and you get not just the championship division, you get A division and B division. So literally a lot of the sicko stuff you can get by your Fanatis subscription. You can watch all of that there. TVV, if you want to add Venezuelan programming, you can. But if you have cable with a certain cable provider, it's in the Spanish package if you should wish to add that on as a part of all of that. Now, also, you can, once again, I've re-upped in the scarves. So if you're missing a Marshall Islands scarf and don't have one yet, you can get that from me. Get the gear first and foremost from them, but they ship that from England. Helping us help the Marshall Islands. Scarves, I've got them. I've got plenty. So if you're missing a Marshall Islands scarf, you can grab one from me. Just reach out to us here at the show. I'll figure out how to mail it to you. And it's not coming from England. It's coming from me. Grady Baby, Grady-Baby.com for the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gear. And our part of our Soccer for Good campaign with that is you pick up the red or the black with the gold embossed lettering, and the proceeds go to help out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta public school system. So you've got that with the Grady Baby line. You've got soccerdownhere.net. You can go and you can shop in there. And also you can get your Marshall Islands scarf to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. All of the different things. Don't forget, if you haven't re-upped on the Chant app yet, you have to re-up now that it's a new season. $10, and that goes to help out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 26 as well. So keep an eye on all of that stuff. Remember, 3-day match week with the high school. Today, I'm at GMC Prep and LOA. Those matchups, 5 and 7, 5:30 and 7:30. Hang on just a second. GMC, actually, I'll probably do it this way. So, all right. So the matchups themselves, I'm just double checking once again, and this will be out at Lake Oconee Academy. It is 5:30 and 7:30. So GMC and Lake Oconee Academy, 5:30 and 7:30 tonight on the network. And I will have those calls for you. Red Clay Soccer Report, that's at noon tomorrow, where we catch up with everything going on in the state when it comes to a high school game. And also we'll be in Gilmer for Calhoun and Gilmer on Thursday. And we will have on Friday Dalton and Cedartown out in Polk County. Looking forward to catching up with all the folks out there and getting all of those matches laid out for you. Because Saturday, once again, that's Atlanta United DC on air at 6:30 with Five Stripes Countdown with Abe and Maddie, Mike and Jason with the call, and then I'm on with Abe afterward for the full-time report, and we'll take you into the evening and let you know what else is going on there. So then Sunday, it is Atlanta United 2, 6:30 pregame, 7:02 kick is what it's supposed to be. So just be ready. So a little after 7 o'clock, it'll be your preview. 6:30 is your preview, your pregame show. 7:02-ish is your kick. The Twos are in Charlotte, the suburbs of Charlotte, taking on Crown Legacy at the Sportsplex at Matthews. So can Atlanta United get to 3 in a row? We will certainly find out there. Let me see if there's anything else that I might have missed when it comes to this morning. And once again, thanks to everybody who was in. Thanks to Karn Saxena, who dropped by to talk about FanPath. Thanks to Noah Toumert, who came by to discuss everything going on with Forest City Cleveland and their sojourn into the MLS NEXT Pro ranks in 2027. And thanks to Kaylor Hodges at the USL show for breaking down the first couple of match weeks there as he was getting ready to leave to go see Asheville City hosting Greenville Triumph in the Open Cup tomorrow. So there's all of that. Now, this has also come out this morning before we came on the air. Matt Loth, the Telegraph. Apparently, details of Chelsea's team selection have been leaked in the French media for the second time in a week. 6 days after French media publicized the entire Chelsea lineup on the day of the last 16 first leg tie in Paris, it's been reported that Wesley Fofana will not start the second leg against PSG tonight. Reports even state Chelsea trained with Yoel Hato next to Trevor Chalobah in their final behind-closed-door session on Monday, which would constitute a surprise according to law if that is indeed how they set up. Hato has played left back for Chelsea. Liam Rosenior would have ignored other more natural center defensive options, such as Badiashile, Sarr, and Ashampong, if Fofana is replaced by the Dutchman. Not a huge surprise, according to law, if Fofana did not start, given his injury problems and inability to play 3 matches in a week, having started in Paris and against Newcastle at the weekend. And Law admits that Fofana has been in poor form recently. Chelsea's still concerned that the French media have got access to their plans and information from closed training if he reports proved to be accurate. Last week's team leak accurately reported Philip Jorgensen had been preferred to Robert Sanchez, which backfired on Rosenior as Jorgensen made the mistake that swung the tie in favor of PSG. Rosenior downplayed the significance of the leak following the defeat in Paris, did say it would be looked into. Asked on Monday if he discovered how the leak had come about, he said, "I'll be really honest, I haven't even thought about it. Not the first time it's happened, won't be the last." So apparently the French press is getting access to the Chelsea starting lineups and the traveling roster before everybody else is. So be careful. Be careful with your access and your cameras and your stuff. Be careful. Catherine Batty has an article at the Telegraph. Bay FC, who finished next to last year, banking on English women to turn things around. Kate Cossington swapped Wembley for California, left as technical director for the FA. Now she's chief executive of the MCO Bay Collective. You got a lot of players, coaches, and backroom staff heading across the pond. Article by Batty. Emma Coates, the manager, her assistant, Gemma Davies, coming after leaving their roles with England's U23. Coates' appointment was a blow to the FA. First managerial role in club football, Cossington believes she's more than ready for the challenge. Coates making the move to the U.S. shows there may be more opportunities in the country. January transfer window, Coates acquired 2 young English players, Anouk Denton from West Ham, Kira Berry from Manchester United. Denton, regular with West Ham. Berry found chances hard to come by with United. And so Cossington recruited Anja van Ginhoven, who is GM of the Lionesses under Serena Wiegman as Director of Global Women's Football Operations. James Honeyman joined as Global Director of Recruitment. Dr. Naomi Datsun recruited as Global Director of Performance and Research. Honeyman had been working as Head of Player Development at Arsenal. Datsun, Senior Lecturer at Manchester Metropolitan University, as well as a member of the Fitness Advisory Board at UEFA. So Bay FC has been investing in the English side of things, and we'll see how that may, they hope, turn things around when it comes to all the activity that's going on at Bay FC now that the NWSL season is off and running. Once again, remember tonight, 5:30, it is an opportunity for us to showcase Lake Oconee Academy and GMC, 2 really good programs in single A. We're going to do that at Lake Oconee Academy tonight, 5:30. And 7:30 for the matches tonight. And once again, remember, enjoy responsibly today because you're supposed to be at least wearing green or at least have it on your person. And as always, at least in this particular household, for me, dibs on a redhead. Michael R. 3518, welcome in. First time I think that we have seen you here. Do not be a stranger. We are 9:05 to 11:05, so we're kind of in added time by 3 minutes. So 2 hours ago, wherever you are on the planet, it's when we start, Monday through Friday here at SDH AM. So you got high school tonight. You've got high school at noon tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, on SDH AM, Dylan Butler and Casey White. Casey White is traveling. So that's why Casey D is not here this morning. And so she is on a plane. And so Casey D, where she be on a plane. So Casey White, she'll be on tomorrow at 10:30. So Dylan Butler at 10, KCD at 10:30. We'll go over your highlights, all the things, and prep you for everything in the midweek. Nino and Nico slated for Thursday. We are going to catch up with folks at Michigan State who are in charge of making sure the grass stays grassy in all the venues for the World Cup. So that's going to be in hour number 1 on Thursday. And then hour on Friday, hopefully catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring and Apple TV. We also are efforting Dave Johnson to get Oppo research on DC United heading into the weekend with Atlanta United. And like I said, also we are tracking down folks with the Unified side, and we'll see when we can catch up with Marty Jellamy, the head coach of the Unified team, now that the roster is out, the schedule is out, all the things. So once again, back at it again here tomorrow morning, 9:05, 5:30, high school soccer from LOA. Glad to have all of you here. That's another round of Tuesday Thoughts here on SDH AM. Since it is the end of the show, Mochi Platiel, play it safe. Means I get to do this. Thanks to Karn Saxena. Thanks to Noah Toumert in Cleveland. Thanks to Kaylor Hodges. Thanks to you. We'll see you 5:30 tonight for soccer and high school side of things back here, a little less than 22 for another go round of SDH AM. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. See you later today, and then we'll see you tomorrow.